Hi, my name is Diane Lalomia, and today I have a confession to make. And this little birdie, well, it snowed again, and today he's going to tell you a story about these two kids who met in 1981 just before Halloween, dined at a fancy French restaurant for the first date, complete with serenading violins. So, since he was Italian, I thought I'd make him a spaghetti dinner for our next date. After work, to my horror, I discovered the cupboards were bare. I had no car to run to the store. Then it dawned on me, the only thing that contained tomatoes in my apartment was a small bottle of ketchup. Yeah. I think this picture was taken before he ate dinner. And I'm thinking he'll never call me again. But he married me anyways on 12/12 at 12, and after all these years, I'm going to finally make him that dinner from scratch, complete with homemade pasta made with Khorasan wheat, using my pasta machine to make some pasta noodles using a recipe from Sue Becker's book, using freshly milled organic Khorasan wheat, also known as Kamut. Well, let's get started. So I've got the eggs, the oil, and the salt in the food processor, and I'll start pulsing it, and I'll add the flour as I pulse. And when it starts to come together into little pieces, I'll slowly add the half a cup of water until it forms a consistent dough that I'm looking for. I've already measured out my flour, so I just need to spoon it in and start pulsing away till I get it together. I'm just going to make it easy. My food processor got broken recently, so it's a little wobbly to say the least. Oh, and try not to make a mess. I'm really good at that. Last week's pierogies, everything was covered in flour. How about if we just take the lid off? Makes it a lot easier. I'm going to add in some of this flour, pulse it, and then I'll do some more. This ought to be real fun editing this with the noise. About a third at a time is what I'm doing. Okay, and the last bed of flour. Now the recipe says you can double this recipe to make more for freezing, but I would recommend doing it one batch at a time because, as you can see, this is going to be pretty full. Now we're going to start adding the water slowly and try not to dribble it out while we're doing it. It's just easier for me to take the lid off and put some of this in. this off the bottom. Try to get it to where it's I don't want a bunch of dry dough in the bottom. Looks like it's going to come together. If I just take it out and put it on a floured surface, we should be good to go. Hang in there and come back in just a minute. I found a tea strainer that, what do you know, it works great as a flour wand. Now I can dust the right amount of flour. Everything gets dusted. And refill it easily when needed. I love to repurpose things. I'm dusting everything with a little flour, so don't stand still. Before getting my dough out, and in the meantime, it's been covered to keep it from drying out. The dough is on the drier side, but that's okay. It'll come together. Just keep watching. Notice the dish of water? I'll be wetting my hands from this dish as I work the dough. Just wait. In the meantime, I gather the crumbs, make a little more room to work. And see, there's the water. You almost missed it. I'm loving this flour wand. Khorasan should not be overworked. That's the one thing about this particular wheat. This only took me about 5 minutes or so. A little flour, if needed, to keep the dough from sticking to the counter. Keep kneading, pushing down and forward, using my body to give it my all. When the dough becomes supple and workable, think Play-Doh. Cover and let it rest about an hour. You'll be glad for a break. I'd practiced this, making the noodles, and this was the last of the dough. Pinching a small handful, I flattened the dough with a little rolling pin, but you could just use the palm of your hand. The idea is to kind of get it into something of a rectangle shape. I start with the pasta machine on 0. That's the widest setting. I insert the crank and roll it out the first time. I fold it into thirds and run it through again, 2, sometimes 3 times. Then once for each setting, from 1 to 4. Running it through each one. Pausing to sift a dusting to keep it from sticking. Both sides are dusted for noodles. It's getting so long, I cut it in half, laying the one piece aside for later. I set the machine on number 5. Then number 6. This is as thin as I'm going. Now it's time to switch the crank to cut the noodles. But even these were too long to hang on the drying rack. I learned what not to do. Wish I had about 8 hands. Funny how I have such 20/20 hindsight. Well, maybe next time. Now the other half. I switch the crank back to the roller. You know, I need to roll it out in 5 and number 6 before cutting the noodles, remember? getting ready to make the wider of the two settings for my noodles. This is where I changed the crank. And struggle with only 2 hands. But now I know how to do this. Now it's done. Most of the noodles I made ended up on a parchment paper lined tray dusted with flour. A few more were hung as best as I could on the rack. Note to self: next time, make shorter noodles. I realized the noodles needed some fluffing with a dusting of flour. I found a few clumps of pasta where they got tangled, but most I could tease apart. A few clumps got rejected. It's better to have only one layer deep. Next time, more trays. I tried the first sample of dough for the skinnier noodles, like spaghetti, but I opted for the wider rookie size instead. The pasta was delicious, even for a rookie. 43 years later, I figured out how to make a good sauce. And nope, there's no ketchup in the recipe. Promise. It's so much better, though, with homemade pasta. And that's us a few years ago on our anniversary. And we're still going strong. Thanks for watching. Merry Christmas, and may all your bakes be blessed.